This is Round Midnight, bringing you the best jazz from across the spectrum, weeknights from 11:30 on BBC Radio 3. I'm Jordan Rakei. I've been sitting in for Soweto Kinch all this week, and tonight's my final show, but I've got something very special for you. Back in March, drummer Richard Spaven played an incredible set at Yardbird, a jazz night in Cardiff, and I'm going to be featuring highlights from that throughout tonight's show. Richard Spaven is one of the best drummers in the UK. He sort of came from the clubbing scene with the drum and bass interpretations, and his style is so unique. He mimics drum machines, and his music is like an amazing mix of electronic, jazz, soul, and lots of sort of classic songwriting as well. And I started working with him about 10 years ago, and his approach to rhythm and arrangement and structure is so unique. And my song, The Self, that we worked on one of his albums really showed me his genius with the abstract time signatures and the way he plays with time, and he's just such an inspiring person to work with. He's also worked with Loyal Kana, Gangstar, Flying Lotus, and this week's Flowers guest, Alfama. He paid tribute to Richard on Monday night's show. Head to BBC Sounds to find that episode. Richard's been touring his latest album, Soul Subject, and I've got 3 pieces from his Cardiff session to share with you. First up, we're going to hear a tune called Helsinki Trio, but before that, a quick word from Richard Spaven himself.
Hello, my name is Richard Spaven, and mainly I play the drums. I've worked with a lot of people in my career. I also write and produce my own music, and it would be fair to say there are significant slices of hip-hop and jazz within, but also drum and bass. I've been a drum and bass fan for a long time, and it's definitely a big influence. Going on tour with my own band is one of my favourite things to do, and we got to do this recently and stopped off for a lovely show at Yardbird. It's a real kind of local, kind of intimate buzz around there. Also got everything you need. You've got sourdough pizza, you've got a brewery, and you've got a jazz club. I mean, what else is there? In the band, Stuart McCallum on guitar. I've worked with Stu since our days together with Cinematic Orchestra. And on bass, Eve Fernandez, absolutely fantastic individual. Unfortunately, he was on crutches at the time because he had ruptured his Achilles, but he seemed quite happy watching me just carry his gear around for the whole tour. And I just want to say earnest salute to Round Midnight. And that's all from me. Thanks very much.
Let's go back to this week's featured gig, drummer Richard Spaven, live at Yardbird in Cardiff. We're going to shortly hear a tune from his trio called Alfama. But first, a word from Finlay O'Hara, who's going to tell us more about Yardbird.
Hi, my name is Finlay O'Hara. I'm a drummer and jazz promoter based in Cardiff. And since 2022, I've been running a monthly night for jazz and jazz-adjacent music called Yardbird. After the pandemic, I moved to Cardiff from London, and in the wake of COVID, there was a bit of a jazz vacuum, and as venues had closed and the music scene was just getting back on its feet, I was settling in when I met Keith Munro, the wonderful and very charismatic owner of Kings Road Yard. And at the bottom of this yard is a really beautiful dance hall space with wood panelling on one side and a very old brick wall with a fireplace on the other. And lucky for me, Keith offered me the opportunity to run a music night in there on the spot. What started out as a spot for me to play jazz standards and meet some local jazz musicians very quickly turned into a passion project that has grown and grown. Now I get to book some of my favourite artists, showcase amazing original jazz, and thanks to an amazing fan base and local community, Yardbird sells out pretty much every time. And now I'm so excited to share the next step Yardbird is taking. This is the premiere of our very first Yardbird session with none other than one of my drum heroes, Richard Spaven. Watch out, Tiny Desk, because this was filmed and recorded with some very talented people who gave up their time to help me realise this vision. So I'd like to shout out Margot Conton, Matthew Tyler Howes, and my amazing wife Julie Rowland, who recorded and mixed this session. So if you're ever in Cardiff, make sure to look out for the next Yardbird show, and I'll see you there.
Oh, incredible. That's Richard Spaven with Alfama live at Yardbird. And you can hear the live energy of that, like the intensity and the dynamics. And that's what's so good about live jazz music is every night's different. You know, the drummer stops, the guitarist does something, they react. It's just such a nice expression of musicianship and such an incredible trio. Eve Fernandez on bass and Stuart McCallum on guitar. And that was Alfama by Richard Spaven. I'll have a final tune from that live session before the end of the show. You're listening to Round Midnight with me, Jordan Rakei. Just insane. You can just hear Spaven is just one of the best drummers out there. He really is the human metronome, always playful. You can always hear his personality, and an amazing set in general at Yardbird. If he's coming to an area near you, you definitely have to check him out. It's always so exciting to just keep your eyes glued on Richard Spaven alone. He's just one of the best to ever do it. And in that show, he was joined by Eve Fernandez on the bass and guitarist Stuart McCallum. That track was called Find Peace Within. Thanks to Richard and the Yardbird team in Cardiff for letting us share that set. The video of that session will be available on Yardbird's YouTube channel from Monday, the 1st of September. And their next gig is on September 26th with former Round Midnight guest Donovan Hafner.